We're back. It's 2024.
Yay!
Happy New Year, everybody.
Official New Year.
Happy official New Year. And
Hello,
yes, Penny is joining us by phone and Zoom. we've got multiple backups because she's still bringing in the New Year. She's still celebrating with her family, as she should.
Yeah.
And you, Carla, we should make you a little like medal or a banner. You're our very first guest on Work Innocent podcast.
I thought so. I wasn't sure, but thank you all both so very much. I'm honored, truly. Honored.
I am too. So we'll give a little backstory, and then I want to dive into just you and your life because you're amazing. So this is part of our New Year, New You series, which we actually kicked off last week with a blog, and we're doing it in 4 parts. And it's really health and wellness, life planning, financial planning, and then travel, hobbies, activities, like the things that you can sort of dive into, sink your teeth into in the new year. And whether that's just that you want to try something new or that you want to completely reinvent yourself, right? And so I think, what we'll focus on today is the reinvention process because all 3 of us have gone down this path. So and are going down it and are still going down it. And so we know each other through business.
Absolutely.
And you and Penny know each other through business, which we didn't even realize until we started talking until we had coffee. So for the listeners that are tuning in, all 3 of us are entrepreneurs. All 3 of us had previous companies.
We all had that disease, and
we all had that disease, and we all exited. I had the worst exit of them all, but we're not going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about just getting through the exit and then figuring out, who you are, what is going to be your new identity, what are the things you're going to do with your life. And, one of the reasons why we wanted to have Carla on so early is when she and I had coffee a couple weeks ago, and she shared with me that at 61 years old, and if you're watching this on YouTube or TikTok, I know she doesn't look like she's a day over 40. She's gorgeous inside and out. But she shared with me that she started a new activity at 61. And I mean, you want to talk about something challenging? I'm not going to share it. I'm going to let her divulge it. But I was just like, you have to share with our audience, why and how it's working for you now, because you are radiating you're just glowing because you're now doing this. But before we jump into that, let's learn about you. Let's learn about Carla. So share a little bit about your background and kind of how you got here.
Okay. Well, again, it is absolutely my honor and pleasure to be here today, and especially to be the very first guest. When I first heard about the podcast, I was like, please. So I was born and raised in Appalachia in West Virginia. Love West Virginia, still love West Virginia. Went to college at Marshall University, go Herd, and moved to Virginia Beach with my first husband. He was senior traffic controller. And like a lot of women in their 80, in the 80s, is that we went to school, we were going to be this businesswoman, and then we became stay-at-home moms. And we had a discussion about that, about how we managed our children whenever I wasn't working right away. And so then I did start working, and then went back to school and got a degree in graphic design, and worked in advertising and product design, and did that for a very, very long time. Oh, about 10 years, actually, because I don't do anything for more than 10 years, apparently. But one of the things that I did during that time was that I baked and loved baking, and it was good for me. I think I heard Penny say this on a podcast, is that it was therapeutic. Yeah. It made me relax. The problem with that is I'm 5 foot tall. You can't eat a lot of baked goods. And so I made cupcakes. And I made cupcakes because that was portion control, really. And about that same time, the whole cupcake craze came about. And I had my 10 years in graphic design, and I owned a small graphic design firm, a boutique firm, and decided, I think I could do this. Never thought, you're not a professional baker, you're not a pastry, none of these things. So just jump right in. And so I did some research, and and just thought I could do it, and did. And then we became, luckily, I opened my first shop in the Hilltop area of Virginia Beach. Subsequently opened more shops, one in Town Center, drive-through, one in Norfolk, food truck, catering, and was the first Virginia bakery to be on Food Network's Cupcake Wars, which was a big show at the time.
Yes, absolutely.
And I was on that show off and on for 4 seasons.
Wow.
I know. And
isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And so, yeah, I was on that show, and like I said, being the first Virginia bakery, that was pretty good. I mean, we got to serve the governor at one point. We got to do some really cool things, and then in about 10 years, I was like, I think I'm done. I think I'm ready to check out. My daughter was having her first child, and again, I just had that itch of, I think I'm done.
Yeah.
And when it quit, and I've heard you all talk about this, when it quit being joyful every day to me, I knew. Because owning a bakery, owning any business, but especially owning a bakery, whenever you're up at 4 or 5 in the morning and you're doing these things, and every day, when you baked fresh daily, every day was something. Every day was, but I didn't have the joy anymore. I just knew I was done. And I was very fortunate that I sold the business to one of my pastry chefs. And it happened 1 month before the shutdown of COVID. So it was
divine timing.
Well, it was good and bad because, well, people said, "Oh my gosh, this is what you're saying." I'm like, trust me, I'm not that smart and I'm not that lucky. Trust me, this was blind luck. And I had been working on selling bakery for about 6 to 8 months, and so it was nice when it all came together. And then I also owned, as you know, Penny, a small cotton candy business, and I kept that because I was like, I still like business.
Right.
I just don't want a brick and mortar. I don't want to do this. I'm much more interested in maybe manufacturing. There were some couple things I was looking at. I had gigs for the rest of the year, and then COVID hit, and like that very first week, it was like on Monday, I got phone calls of, "Oh, we're going to cancel and reschedule for this month. By the end of the week, I had nothing. So that was gone. And as I've said, all of us, and I had trips planned with girlfriends and my husband and all these things I was going to do. And the next thing you know, I am working on puzzles, drinking wine, and watching Cuomo every day to find out if I'm going to live the next day.
That's funny.
So that's, and then, now we've gotten to where we are now, but it was quite a change. It was, if you can imagine, working all those hours and all that stress and all those thoughts, and then all of a sudden the world stops.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I had nothing to do. But I built the Corona raised bed, just like everybody else. I did sourdough, raised beds, puzzles, but it was a challenge.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think people would be lying if they said it wasn't in some way a challenge for them to get through that period of our lives. And we were all existing in COVID together.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't, nobody was shielded.
I mean, how many times do we all say, "Oh, if time could just stop"? Well, guess what, hon? It stopped. It's not fun.
Yeah.
And or at least
to me, it was almost like a blessing in disguise because it really probably gave you time to just do some self-reflection and what do I want to do next? And I don't know. I mean, that's the way that I'm maybe interpreting it, but I could,
and that
feel at that point.
It did allow me that. I mean, the things like you both can understand is that, having a business, I mean, I looked around the house, I was like, who lives in this dump? I mean, who lives here? And I was like, I think I'm going to put carpet. I think I can do this. I think I can do this. And one, it gave me a chance to do things I've never done. And the second thing was, it gave me the opportunity to really think about what's important to me, what I want to do, what does my life look like, and what can I give back, and where do I move forward?
I want to know, where do you get the, I think I can do this, I think I can do that, I think I can build a skyscraper, I think I can, because that, I don't think you can teach that, right? Like, have you always been that way?
Yeah.
No, you can't teach that.
I have always been that way. A little quick story is that my dad's name was Carl Vance. I was born, and they were so sure I was going to be a boy. They didn't have a name picked down, so I became Carla. But my dad had no other toys to play with. So it was, you can hunt, you can fish, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. And so my whole life, I've always been, oh, I can do that.
Yeah.
Oh, I can do that.
That's amazing.
I can do that.
That's a great way to grow up, and something that, hopefully our audience is picking up on for their own kids and themselves. I just think that that's such a great lesson,
Absolutely.
So thank you for sharing that. That's cool.
Well, thank you. But even we talked about this. Even when you failure, you learn from failure.
Absolutely, you grow in failure.
Right.
You have to fail.
And we both talk about, we both play sports, and somebody said to me in tennis, it's not how you're playing whenever you're playing great. It's when you're in the valley.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so true. That's with life. I mean, nothing lasts.
Yeah.
The good times don't last, and the bad times don't last.
Right.
So for me, it's always like, oh, I'm going to try it. I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. If I don't do it, I tried.
Yeah.
But typically, there's something good that's come out of it.
That's right. Seasons are temporary.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we forget that, especially when we're so down and out, right? And we're looking up and we think, there's no way I'm going to see daylight ever again. But it does come back.
Well, and then, and so I'm just jumping in and say, my motto, because I've heard you say that, my motto is be brave. Be brave in your deeds, in your thoughts, and your actions. And I think if you're not brave at times in the things that you think about, even if you think you can't do it, be brave. Doesn't mean you have to be successful.
Right.
Just be brave. Be brave in the deeds that you do for others. It may not always be reciprocated. It may not always be welcome. It may not always be the right thing. But always push yourself. And that comes from bravery. And like I said,
I do too.
Yeah.
It's two words that literally give you goosebumps. At least the way you say it. When you said it, you were like, be brave.
Yeah. I mean, like whenever the first time they called me and said, oh, we want to, the show was very popular on, at that time, Cupcake Wars was very popular on Food Network, and said, we love you. We want you to be on the show. And I was like, okay, why not? I'm not doing anything that week. So it never occurred to me it never occurred to me that it could be a bad idea at that point. I mean, I made a calculated risk. I wasn't on it the first year when they asked, because I was concerned of what it would do to the business. Yeah. And then when I went, I was extremely brave with flavors I chose, with everything I did, with the things I said. It just, and I was very, very fortunate in that they liked me enough that they kept inviting me back.
Well, who wouldn't like you?
Well,
I mean, there's a problem with them.
I don't think
That's really cool. Be brave, be bold.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're just so comfortable, and I can just tell, Carla, you're authentically yourself, and that's another great message.
Have you always been that way, though?
Person going through transition, so.
I have always been that way.
Yeah, I just asked her, Penn, sorry, because I know it's hard because you're not here. But I asked her, has she always been like her authentic self? Because I know for some women, it takes years to find. For me, it took me years to kind of get to that point. But I love that you.
No, like I said, my parents divorced when I was really, really young. We moved back to West Virginia, back to Kentucky, where my grandparents were. We lived in a little 3-room house. But it was always, I can win. I can be this spelling bee person. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. I'm self-sufficient. I always had, even though we had zero money, I always had a village of people around who said, you can do it. You can do it. You can do it. And I'm just of that IQ, that lower IQ, I guess, where I thought, yeah, you're right, I can. Yeah. And I proved people, luckily, knock on wood, I proved people wrong This is one of my favorite sayings. Please underestimate me. Please.
Yes.
You know, let them.
Is that not the fire in the belly for people like us?
Yeah.
Yeah, you go and underestimate us.
Please, I dare you. Please do it. Because it makes my life so much easier because I don't have to prove anything because you've given me full reign to do it.
Right.
So, and you know, whenever you're short and blonde and, you know, you people do it constantly underestimate.
Of course.
And it, like I said, it just always has made my job easier.
Mm-hmm. And you know, I want to back up for a second because I think like how progressive of your parents, especially your father, to basically be like, I don't care that she's not a boy. I'm going to instill, you know, this confidence in her. I'm going to basically let her know you can do whatever you want to do in life. And not only can you do it, I'm going to help you get there. I'm going to show you. I'm going to guide you. Right? Don't let anyone question you.
That's right.
Because you can do it if you put your mind to it.
Yeah. He was an amazing man.
You got to write that book.
I am. I am.
You got to write that book.
Well, another thing about you, Carla, that I'm picking up on is that you're very much like start where you are, you know, because you're never going to be ready. You just got to just do it and just start, you know, whatever feels good, you know, you just go for it.
Absolutely. Right? You know, one of the things I'm really passionate about now is politics, and not so much politics, but policies, issues, and if I wish I had a quarter every time somebody had said you should run for something, and I'm always like, oh, I'm not smart enough, I'm not this, I'm not that, and I think women do that a lot, and they don't take leadership positions, but you know, so for me, I am very much like that.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, I don't think you can get to where you are right now sort of without being that way. How has it morphed as you've gotten older, right? Because, you know, you are daring, you are bold, you are brave,
right? But
has anything shifted at all as you've gotten older?
I'm more comfortable with it. That's it.
I love it.
You know, I remember, because I think we both love fashion. Yeah. I remember.
We all love fashion.
Yeah. So I was, you know, it's the great thing about that, and that really is it, is that I am very comfortable in my own skin and in the decisions I make or the things I do. And I do believe like everything does have a season. And, you know, for how many years and how many appointments did we go in wearing extremely high heels, uncomfortable?
Yes.
I was in New York City several years ago, and we were shopping, and I was like, oh, Valentino rock sets, always wanted them. And I owned a bakery, or Valentino rock sets. But you know what? I found the ones with the smaller heel, and I was like, if I'm going to go down in heel size, it's going to be in Valentino rock sets.
Oh my gosh. Again.
And now I've got Uggs on, so I don't know what
that's I'm barefoot, okay? And Penny, what are you wearing? What shoe do you have on today?
I have on some very fashionable mid-calf black leather boots.
Wow.
Of course, girl. But let me just say, this is so great. The changing of the height in heels was one of the things that was a very hard pill for me to swallow.
Me too.
That was because I rock stilettos. For me, I wasn't comfortable with my height until probably my late 20s, early 30s. Because I was always tall. I tell people I came out of the womb tall. Like, right? And I was like, listen, I'm tall, and I know that there's plenty where I'm like, I wish I had your height, right? So I'm like, well, I'm gonna rock this. I'm gonna embrace it. Yeah. So I wore heels all the time. I worked retail in heels all the time, and then you know the back starts breaking down, the knees start creaking, the bunions start popping out, and all of a sudden, I actually am at the point where I don't even think I can sit in a stiletto.
Right.
So funny because like it went from 3-hour heels to 2-hour heels.
That's a great way to put it. That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
To 1 minute heels.
That's great. Yeah.
I think heels are so beautiful, but you know.
I know.
They are.
They do.
I know. I distinctly remember my mom saying to me one time, there's going to be a time when you're not going to be able to wear those. And I was like, no, there isn't. And now I have a closet full of sneakers.
That's right. That's right.
Well, you know what's so funny about, like, you know, Carla just said, she was like, I've just become more comfortable in it. And it's like, you know, the older you get, the more comfortable you get. The shoes aren't as comfortable, you know?
Right. That's right.
That's right.
But
Well,
just in your own skin and in your own self are, you know, I love that, Carla, because I feel like I'm on a bridge right now where I'm starting to get more comfortable, but I'm not quite where you are yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I always tell my daughter, you know, I thought the 20s were the hardest. And then I thought the 30s were the hardest. And then I thought, just wait. It's about, you are about to, like, get in your prime. I'm telling you, this, it really is some of the things that you think, oh, I'm going to miss, or I'm going to, you know, or what about this wrinkle or this or that? Gosh, remember, you don't see that. You see outside in or inside out. Inside and where your head is and where the knowledge you have. And it's just, this is the best time of my life.
It's, you know, it's as it should be, right? Because I think one of my issues with this sort of like women hit a certain age, air quotes, and we sort of like slowly put them out the pasture. Stop. We are the best we've ever been. We have more substance. We have more confidence. We have more wisdom, right? We already, you know, juggle everything, you know, but at this age we can actually do it and still feel really good about ourselves. Right. And give enough to us, give enough to our family, give enough to our community. Because I think hopefully.
So why haven't you jobs?
Oh, okay. Wait up, hold on.
That's the biggest thing. It's like a myth that the older you get, the less you know, capable you are. When in fact it is absolutely the opposite. And I think people need to know that you know, as women age, they just get better and better and better, and just smarter and more organized and focused and clearer, and just, I don't know. You're absolutely right, Carla. It makes zero sense to me, but I think that's the message that we're trying to send to people, is that, you know, 40s and up is where it's at. You know,
absolutely.
Better and better.
Listen, if you can raise children and put them out into the world to go and be good stewards of society and give back, then you can run a company. Okay? You can go in and be an immediate impact. And I mean, I don't know if I shared this with me at coffee, but the whole reason why Worth started, the whole reason why Penny and I were like, well, why don't we collaborate and do something, is because we were either finding jobs we didn't want to do, or we just knew we weren't qualified for, or B, the phone wasn't ringing. There was no responses to the email, you know, and I was only looking for like a part-time thing because I've got another company, you know, and even that, and that's actually really hard though. It's like when you're trying to find a supplemental income. I think it's hard no matter what, but it's really hard when you sort of get over the hill, right? Like over.
Oh, absolutely.
It's hard.
Ageism is a thing.
Ageism
is an absolute thing. Yeah.
I had 2 interviews, and I think the 2 interviews I had, if I had to guess, and I don't know because you don't ask people what their age is in an interview, I would guess that they were 20 years younger than me. And I mean, we just were not speaking the same language. But I'm like, okay, I could do your job probably and 3 other people.
Exactly.
And yet you're sitting here basically, I think, judging me, and that I'm not qualified enough for this position. And it's just, I don't know. I think we've got to look past the paper. And
that's
we
good.
have to look past the paper.
Past age, you know, when it just in general, right? Because I mean, there are young people out there who I follow that I, you know, really think are brilliant.
Yeah.
And you know, but it's just that mutual maybe admiration or respect that sometimes gets lost as women age. So.
Well, I think one of the beautiful things right now that's happening in the world, or at least in our country, is that women are the fastest growing group of business owners and entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
And we are because we have to.
Right. That's true.
We're forced to, you know, and this is who we are. We're not going to give up. We're going to pivot. We're going to go around that boulder that's in front of us and say, okay, listen, if this isn't working, we're going to go try this.
Yeah, I mean, we're living longer, we're living healthier, we're, you know, even So one of the pieces of legislation that we're trying to get through this year is about incentivizing workers that work with the state, because to hire people that are 50, to special accommodations, or hire people that are 55 and over.
Love it.
And women don't, they're not ready to be out of the workforce. They're not ready to stop. They need new skills. There's great programs within the state of Virginia to help them learn some of the things that they may not know, especially about technology, because I'm the first to say, I don't get it all.
Right.
But women want to keep moving. They want, and they're so capable. You mean?
Well, and I think the other reason why we don't want to give it up is now I did not experience this because I had a company when I had my child, and she literally was on my hip. I brought her to work with me every day I went to work. But a lot of women leave the work world.
That's right.
To go be home with the kids. And so, a lot of them are getting back into the work world in their late 30s, early 40s. So then to say, like, at 50, you expire.
That's right.
Like, that's
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. My sister-in-law, she's a perfect example. She raised her children. Two of her girls are in college. One is getting ready to graduate from high school. And she started probably working like 3 or 4 years ago, and she's killing it. She's in pharmaceuticals, and she is just, I just look up to her so much. And, and again, she is proof that, you can go and kill it and be amazing at any job, at any age, really.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the truth. So.
Absolutely. It's never too late. I think I came across Martha Stewart's masterclass today as I was scrolling on social media, and she's got a whole masterclass about, like, it doesn't matter how old you are. Like, you just don't limit yourself.
I think she started her company at 50, even though she'd been doing things before, because she's one of my role models.
Yeah.
Because, hey, she could go to jail, knit a caftan. It's a worldwide. I mean, look at her. Now she's doing, thirst trap pictures at 80. Go, girl. I mean, but
she's the quintessential, like Phoenix rising from the ashes, like reinventing yourself.
This is, I agree with that. But I also agree that's being a woman.
Yes.
That is what we do.
Yeah.
You might look at a man and go, oh, well, he might have a heart. But this is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
This is who women are at their core.
Yes.
Because we've had to, we want to be, and we can be.
And we can be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so that's why
the can be part, though, I feel like is like we're just now getting there, right? Like,
absolutely.
Like there is this movement, and again, I know we're super excited to be part of it. We're super excited to have Worth be part of it. Again, kudos to Penny for coming up with the name of the company. But It was literally like celebrate your worth. You are worth it at any age,
right?
At any age.
And like I had talked with you about, it's like the one thing I've noticed women are talking about these days is menopause and perimenopause and postmenopause. And you're like, oh my God, this is so great. It happens to 50% of the people on this planet.
Yes.
But yet, we weren't going to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about, if you're comfortable talking about it.
Yes.
You went into early menopause.
I did go.
Share that story, because you want to talk about, again, like, you've had to reinvent yourself multiple times. And also just embrace your worth after going through a really difficult challenge and decision.
It was. I had my children. I had wanted more children, but I had horrific endometriosis, and so please, I don't want anybody to say, oh, you don't have a hysterectomy if you have this, or don't. Remember, this was in the 90s. This is what we did, what we needed to do, and it was always my body, my decision.
Right.
There you go. And so it was so. I would go from being anemic to okay, just want to be okay. Up here I go again. I was having periods every 2 weeks. It was debilitating. I had children, and I had a life, and it was awful. And so the options came along of we tried.
You were in your 30s.
I was in my 30s.
You were 30.
I was 36.
36 years old.
So we went through all these options, and finally, he said, well, we could go in and we could do a hysterectomy, and I said, bingo, that's what I want to do. And he said, well, what about, we could try to save an ovary, or we can, and I was like, I was very afraid, like, ovarian can't, maybe because it's silent, I want a silent killer, and all these different things. And I was like, there's hormone therapy, all these different things. And so I appreciated my physician that let me be an active participant in my health. And me being me at 36 was like, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
I already know.
Can you come to my orthopedist appointment with me and tell them I'm having a knee replacement?
Yeah, I actually can. So I mean, I was like, this is what I want to do. This is how I'm going to do it. You know, I know. And so I made plans. I did what I needed to do. I listened. I read at that time because I don't even know if there was internet. But I had a complete hysterectomy. I had to take both ovaries out. Luckily, they couldn't have been saved anyway. They were just, everything was just so scarred up. And so I went to forced menopause at 36. And so I always used to laugh because I'd be somewhere and all of a sudden I'd break out in just a cold sweat. And I'd be like, they go, oh, what's the matter? I say, oh, I'm having a hot flash. And they're like, really? Yes. Yeah. And then after, you know, I got through that and then, you know, just the toll it took on your body, plus having children and everything else. And then I went through the hormone replacement therapy runaround. And I just, I just knew. I was like, nope, that was not right. That's not right. That's not. This went on for like a year at least. And
Did you feel like you were losing your mind? Or were you just
no, it was a matter of like, you haven't figured it out yet. I know.
Yeah.
You don't know, but I know.
Yeah.
And I got to find somebody who knows what I know.
I know.
And so what I really did was I talked to other women who were going through menopause or had gone through menopause. What are you taking? What are you doing? What do you do? And, you know, finding out that, you know, how much Premarin like would hurt your kidneys or this or that and the other. And so ultimately I settled on a patch. And that, you know, so that was just transdermal. It goes into your, and I know nothing about medicine, and I, you know, sounded like I knew everything at that point, but I researched it, so I felt like I did. And so I did that, and that worked beautifully for a very long time. And then the doctor was like, well, you know, now you're at the age where you really would have gone through menopause. It has an increase in this and increase in that. You probably should, you know, stop, which I did.
Yeah.
And then it was like, yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Because the only thing I can say is that I felt like an autumn leaf all crushed up. And
that's a really good way.
I mean, my skin was dry. I was more tired. I was like, I'm aging in plain sight. Yeah. And this isn't what my body's supposed to do. And so I went back and I said, change your mind, I'm going to do it. And he's like, no. And I said, okay, well, we can find another doctor because I'm going to do this. And so I did that a couple of times of like, okay, this is this. And you know, he would say, well, this is going to increase your chances of breast cancer or whatever. And I go, you know, I do breast exams every month, do mammograms. Right. All I can do is all I can do. Right. I don't want to feel this way. Right.
I have to live my life.
I have to live my life.
Be on the sidelines.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel, yeah. 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 And so I did that back and forth for a really long time. And then the one time I did it, and I don't remember, it was maybe 10 years ago. And whenever my body, I think it was really its time, I didn't feel like a leaf anymore. Yeah. My eyelashes didn't get shorter. My hair didn't get thinner. It was okay. Right. But I had to listen to my body.
Right. Absolutely.
And not what the doctors were saying necessarily. And do what was best for me. And I think women have to, that's why I think it's so important that we're talking, that you're talking to other women, that this trend is coming about, because you're not going to learn it from your male doctor, your male OBGYN. Now, I don't have male doctors any longer, but because they don't get it. Right. They just don't.
Well, it's so complex. I think that's the other thing, too, is we're learning is it's so complex. And it lasts way longer than people think it does.
Absolutely.
And there was a time where I'm like, I'm losing my mind. I don't know, because every time I go to the doctor, it was like, no answers, no, you know. And as you know, I had a hysterectomy, but I had an ablation before I had the hysterectomy. And that whole, I mean, it's just, and I actually really loved my doctor at the time, and I trusted her so much that I didn't question, should I just go for a hysterectomy? Like, you know, what are the side effects of an ablation? What could possibly go wrong with an ablation? I had no idea they could fail completely on you.
Maybe that's why I keep getting fired as a patient. Because what about this? and what about this, and what about this?
Thinking more like literally. Okay, the one thing I'm taking from this interview today is I'm bringing Carla to every single one of my doctor appointments from now on. But you are right, and I think women.
I think that Carla brings. I mean, you just have to talk about it, right? Like you can share, and I think that we're entering a a time, an era where we can finally share more.
Yes.
And people who are in our age group can really, I mean, the information is out there, but sometimes it's better just to talk to people who have been through it.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. That gets sort of back to the village.
Different, right?
Yeah, women helping women. Yep.
Yeah, journey is different.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that's I think one of the things that we absolutely are rooted in our philosophy is we are about women helping women.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We have to come together more. We have to not be behind the curtain of shame,
right,
or embarrassment, or or worthlessness, right? For and just we're all gonna go. I think Whoopi Goldberg said it the best when I watched The View one day, and she was like, "If you're old enough to get to this point in life, you're gonna go through it. So every moment I mean, there's no
really,
if you like
duh.
And it's more than half the population that's gonna go through these changes, and then it affects every other decision that we make, every other sort of offshoot of our lives, and it affects the people in our lives indirectly. Right. Sometimes directly if it's your spouse or your partner or your children, or they might get the short end of that stick.
The percentage isn't higher. You both said more than 50%. I'm like, man, I thought everybody went through this crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, no, it's
wow.
So you came through that.
Yeah.
And did you only just cupcakes at this point?
I did not.
Okay, so you were still graphic design agency.
Absolutely.
Okay, and oh my goodness, that's just so so amazing.
Right.
So I want to know. Well, I want to know two things. I really want to know more than two things. But I'm going to bite-size it for you. I want to know, for you, when was that transformative moment in your life where you were like, I'm on the downside now of my life, and this is what I plan on doing to enjoy it, right? And then why you made the decision.
Okay, let me do this one because let me do the first one first.
Perfect.
Okay. So it's funny that you said that because I'm going to disagree with you.
Okay.
In that I never have a downside. I just don't. I have a transition. I have a parallel change, but I don't have downsides. I
love it.
I just don't. I don't do that. So
that's such a great statement. It really is, because that goes back to mental shift, right? And because I look at it that way, and I think I'm limiting myself by looking at it that way.
Every time you've ever said, "Oh, I lost my business," or that, I'm always like, "No,
Mm-hmm.
no. You could have done a gajillion different things.
Yeah.
You never lost a business. You created something no one imagined that could be created. It just didn't work that time. That's it. You never lost anything.
Mic drop."
I mean,
it's what I'm taking from this, and Penny, I'll let you chime in after, because I know we're going to be right in line with it is perspective and word choice.
Absolutely.
And I think oftentimes word choice is sort of promotes perspective.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, you dare to dream.
Carla, me personally, when we let go of our business, it was definitely sort of a feeling of a loss.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But I think it's great that because it is inspiring for you to say that, because now on the other side of it, I understand it's not a downside. It's an upswing of anything.
And I would 100% agree with that, because Penny, and you and I had this conversation before, and I'm like, had I not experienced that loss, right, I'd still be in retail. I'd still be, I wouldn't be sitting here.
Right.
I wouldn't be having this amazing conversation. I wouldn't have started a company with one of my bestest friends in the whole wide world. So many beautiful, amazing things came out of that. And I also didn't realize how much I was depriving myself in that, running a company of that caliber and of that size.
Right.
I mean, we talk about wellness and self-care and, making sure you're nurturing yourself so that you can nurture others. And I know for many years, looking back now, that I wasn't doing any of that.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's part of the deal.
journey.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I never looked at it as a downside, but and I know this is going to sound really strange because people don't. I'm very much of an introvert.
That's great. I'm so surprised right now. I would never get that.
I'm a very big introvert. So, while the bakery was, astounding, and we did a lot of great things, and we served a lot of wonderful people, and I'm always grateful for that. And what Cupcake Wars was able to do for the shop. During that time, that period of time, I think it was 4 to 5 years that I was on and off Food Network. That was the hardest time, in that I didn't like being recognized. I didn't like talking. I didn't like doing any of these things. And like I said, what I learned from that was nothing lasts.
Right.
If I would have known then that it wouldn't last, I would have handled it a whole lot better. But it made me tired. It, like I said, I am introverted, and I'll just get really tired. And so then whenever, the business, and then we talked about this, with the business, whenever it wasn't doing as good as it should have, and where do you go, and how do you do it, and how do you, and again, that strength in the valley is everything.
Absolutely.
And so again, like that little Grinch in the second that, I'm like, okay, all right, now I know what to do again.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was, like I said, I was getting tired, and also I'm very pragmatic.
Yeah.
Cupcakes are a trend.
Yes.
Whoever owns Crumbles, the cookie place, get in, get out. Yeah. It's not gonna last. Nothing. It's.
I know about trend.
Right. So exactly. So I mean, I always knew there's a start date, there's a stop date, and you better be able to identify them. And for me, not only did I feel it was that there was a stop date, I also just knew there was a stop date for me. And like I said, what happened was that the business, once I started getting more involved with social issues, the business started getting in the way.
Yeah.
I would be like, oh, I want to go to Richmond and do this today at the General Assembly, but I got to be here.
Right.
And so through several years, and then the other part of it was I did look ahead and say, I have no friends. I have, like everybody's passed me by. All these things have happened, and I'm ready.
Yeah.
Like I'm ready for something else.
Absolutely.
And that was, and when I sold it and it was done, it was, besides the fact that you're right, it's like all of a sudden, who are you?
Yeah.
The best part of that is I found out that I've become the best part of me.
Well, it sounds like it.
And that's what I liked about it.
Can you share how you got there, and share what you picked up at 61 and are now like, it's just amazing to me. And like, again, what was the thought process behind it? And why does it bring you so much joy?
I'm going to say, with the work I did before, and then with the business, and I mean, I'm a very fortunate person, and I know that. And like, I can't get a job. I may not be able to get a job, but you know what? I now can work on policy to make everybody in Virginia get a job. So I really like that. I like that shift.
Talk about a pivot.
Yeah,
exactly.
If I can't get one, I'm going to do this. And so, as I said, I've been interested in not politics, but in policies and issues and social issues. And I don't think, I personally, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, as trite as it may sound, there's never been a more important time in our lives as they are now.
Absolutely.
Everybody knows I'm a, dot in the Democrat, but it's also because I believe in freedom, and roles and responsibilities. So what I did after watching too much Cuomo and too many puzzles.
Too many puzzles.
Is that I wanted to create this next part. The way I did is the business, or the first business is that, what is the plan? What are you going to do, and how are you going to get there? And the first thing I wanted to reconnect with women that I cared about, or friends, and I knew that I needed to step up. It wasn't, and so I worked very hard to find friends and to be a good friend. Mm-hmm. Most of the friends I have, I've had for forever. I mean, since high school, basically. But the new friends I've made, are my business friends that I met and adore, and my tennis friends, and now my barn friends.
My barn friends, and we're not talking cows and pigs, y'all.
Okay, so at 61, I decided something I had always wanted to do and never had the time nor the money to do. I took horseback riding lessons. And I know, who does that at 61?
I love it.
Well, because a lot of people said, oh my gosh, what if you
hurt
fall? Well, don't fall.
Yeah.
There you go, don't fall. And so I took horseback riding lessons and found that it means more to me than anything in the world. Mm. I've always loved horses. Never had one. Have one now, but never had one before. But something about horses that I think relate to women is they're prey animals. Mm-hmm. How many times in women our age have we felt preyed upon? Yeah. Have felt vulnerable? Mm-hmm. Yes. And so horses want to do what you want to do, but they also have their own mind. Right. Just, they're loyal, and
they're intuitive too.
They are. They're very intuitive. I had bladder surgery. This may stop coming up in your life. Once you have a hysterectomy, guess what happens? It all falls out for us.
Yay!
Spoiler alert! I had to have some surgery year and a half ago, and so she was like, no bike riding, no tennis, no anything, no. And so the very first thing that I did, which I shouldn't have done, was that I was like, I know me. I can only stay in and do stuff for so long. That's it. And then after that, I'll pay the piper. So I was like, I'm going to ride the horse. Of all the things I can do, this is what I'm going to do. But I'm not going to trot or anything. I'm just going to walk. Right. Mm-hmm. That horse took such good care of me. Oh. I mean, he was like, don't get around her. She, and he didn't let any of the other horses be around me or any of the other riders. And he would stay perfectly still when I got on, and even better, like how typically when you dismount, you stick your foot off. He would come back to the mounting block and let me step off.
Wow.
That's amazing. Well, I was also going to say, Carla, is that they're healers, right? Like I feel like they're such animals.
Yes. Yeah, they are, and so I think that and the barn atmosphere, like I said, the barn family. I have friends that are 70, and I have friends that are 17.
Doesn't that keep you young?
Well, it just it's so wonderful because I'm able to give back to them and say, give them advice on something, or help out, or tip somebody for a great job, or make sure they know how much I appreciated them. And they also are like, Miss Carla, you need that halter, or you need this, or or they're just, it's a wonderful family type of atmosphere. And, we all love the horses. And so for Christmas, my husband got me a Ring camera so I can see Mo anytime I want. But and it's kind of a joke. Like, my house will be a mess, but man, my car is a mess. But you open up my horse locker, it is like organized. Everything is in its place. Everything is perfect. But the barn, I mean, like even after today, I mean, I'll stop by and stroke him a little bit and give him a carrot, and it's it it's therapy, it's happiness, it's conflict resolution. You can't be sad, worried, or nervous sitting on a horse.
Yeah.
One, because they know.
I know.
And they'll feel it and they'll let you know they know. But there's just nothing else in the world like it. So I'm at a barn in Virginia Beach and do have a wonderful gelding. And this is my last birthday. I did my first horse show.
Unbelievable. And jumping. Are you jumping?
I'm wanting to jump. I haven't gotten there yet, but that's my goal is and so.
Can we reveal your age, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm 64.
So you started riding at 61.
Yep.
And at 64, you're competing and learning how to jump.
Yep, that's right.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
No, I just
want you to send photos so that we can post them.
Yeah, we need to post them, send us a video. I mean, we want to meet Mo, even if it's just through, is it Mo? Mo through.
Yeah. He's fabulous. And and so I did actually the horse show was on my birthday. And so if you've ever, been around, it's like a swim meet for people who have swim meets. Like you do everything for a minute, 30 seconds. That's about it. Then you're done.
Don't blink, it'll be over.
Yeah, that's right. So I mean, like, and I ribboned, which was the funny thing. I'm like, did they just say my number? So it was here was my birthday, and here my very first horse show, and ribboned, and again, it's like, doggone it, I did it. I did it. And it didn't, and it wouldn't. And the thing about that day is that it didn't matter if you're rich, poor, if you have the best horse, the worst, whatever. You're all in the same boat. And so, am I going to splurge on certain things because I want to, whatever. But it really, it's a matter of challenging yourself. And I actually think I'll ride the rest of my life. Oh. I mean, like I said, I can't imagine. I used to wonder why Queen Elizabeth rode for him, and now I know. Except she didn't wear a helmet; she should have worn a helmet. Yeah. But there's nothing else like it. Would love for you guys to see Mo, and I'm not.
We'll have to. Well, maybe we'll take Worth on the road. We'll take Worth on the road, and we'll go.
Well, the people that you meet at the barn, like the women that are there, and most of them right now are women, is that you have them from all walks of life, all different education levels. You have students who are tremendous kids. You have women like me who, just love it. And it's a social, aspect to it as well as just constantly pushing yourself. Yeah. So yeah, it's the best. It's the absolute best.
What advice would you give to a woman sitting right now at home on her sofa or a chair, listening to us, who's thinking about being brave and being bold and trying something they've never tried before, like riding horses? What advice would you give to them?
Take that first step. I mean, it's try as it may sound. Don't second guess yourself. Take the impulse. Do it. Do it. You want to get a tattoo? Do it.
I did. I have 2 of them now, actually.
You want to change your clothes? You want to go rollerblading? You want to do it. Yeah. It's absolutely, it's imperative that because with that, you're trusting yourself.
Oh, I love that.
You're trusting yourself that win, lose, or draw, you were brave in the moment. Right. Because you can't control win, lose, or draw. Right. But you can control being brave.
Being brave. Absolutely.
If you want to ride, call me out.
We'll be sure to put Carla's contact information.
Like, you are everything that I save on my Instagram. Carla's saying everything that I want to hear every day.
That's so funny. I do have a little I did start my own little Instagram thing called Since I Retired.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So we'll put that.
And I'm just now, and I'm starting to really get, because it was really more for me, because I knew that this was going to be my best decade. I knew what I was going to do. I mean, I went to Europe. I celebrated my 60th birthday in Paris. I mean, I learned to ride. I've traveled. And it's not that I'm not doing anything that anybody else can't do. I saved my entire life.
Yeah.
To be 60 and to be in Paris.
That's right.
And go to Hermes. Okay. That was Sorry. A little sidebar there. But I mean, whether it is that you're whatever it is, if it's just to go to Williamsburg and go out to the the Canary restaurant, figures whatever it is, just do it.
Just do it. I always equate it to just walking, right? Like, just because of now with all of my little ailments, I have to do very low impact everything. And so one of the things that I get my heart rate up a little bit, is just walking.
Yeah.
I mean, just slip your feet into some sneakers.
Right.
As my mother-in-law calls them, skeechers, not sketchers. And just, I love her. Skeechers, she's the cutest thing ever. And just walk around the block.
Yeah.
And then, 3 days later, walk 2 blocks. It is that in literal and non-literal, the first step is the hardest step.
It is.
But once you take that step,
amen.
It's like
absolutely
the power you feel.
Right.
It's the power you feel after you take that first step.
And I just want to interject here. This is why I think what you and Penny are doing is so special.
Thank you.
Is that men don't have this capability.
No,
sorry. But the amount that I have learned and listened to during this time, you can't get, you can't buy, you have to cultivate this.
You have to cultivate it, absolutely.
And so what you all are doing is just incredible.
Thank you. Well, we're so happy that you're a part of it. And we got to wrap things up a little. Oh,
okay.
First of all, let me just also say, we're going to have Carla back a lot. She'll be a contributor to work.
I would love to.
I mean, it's just, again, but you've created the life you want. And now you can share it with people. And I really feel like it's, when I lost my business, and I do say, okay, I didn't, when the business was no longer, I did feel it was my duty to share.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, we're all fighting a battle every single day. And if you are an entrepreneur and you're a business owner, I mean, more days than not, you're like, why the hell am I doing this?
Yeah, I shared with the barn owner, I was like, why aren't you making a lot more money? And she's like, what? Why would you say that? And I was like, oh, you should be doing a YouTube channel. You should be doing this. And she's like, what are you talking about? Because nobody knows me from the old days.
Right.
And so they'll go, what? And I'll say, well, this is much money you get. It's just, you can't help but want to empower other women and lift them up.
Yeah. Empower other women and let them know that, again, you're going to falter at times.
Yep.
You may lose it all.
Yep.
But pick yourself back. In that loss could be the greatest lesson you have ever learned.
That's right.
And that's what it was for me. And so I share the highs, I share the lows, I share it all because, if you're fortunate enough to get through business unscathed, which is a pipe dream, I'm sorry.
No one does that.
No one does that. Good on you. But most people don't, and they need to know they're not alone. Right. And just like in this moment, women need to know they're not alone when they're going through, menopause, when they're thinking of either they're forced into retirement, or they're thinking of retiring, or they're thinking of the second chapter, third chapter, whatever. I wrote a blog recently about turning 51, and I was like, I'm pretty sure this is like Maya 5.0. It's what this is.
I just wanted to say to thank you both, not only for what you're doing now, but thank you for the businesswomen that you are, and thank you for what your businesses did for my business.
Oh,
you both allowed me in bridal shows. You allowed me to come and do Harry Potter Day, Honorary, different things. You helped my business, and the kindness that you showed somebody, and it's an incredible thing, a gift that you gave, and I guarantee you gave it to more than me.
That's right. You both tried.
I think that's such a huge compliment, because I always think of the quote, people will never remember what you said or did exactly, but you'll always remember how they made you feel.
Yes.
And I just think that that's so important when you walk through life, to just be kind and appreciate people, and, no matter what they're doing for you.
Absolutely.
You're it was symbiotic for us, Carla. Our businesses, we complemented each other, but you're helping us now, right?
I know. And honestly, it is. I feel like you learn something new every single day. And as much as I think I've always been a glass half full positive person, I mean, I definitely could choose my words better, right? And that I think it's a practice. You have to practice it.
Right.
And so now you're going to help me practice that.
Good.
You really are.
Good.
All right, one last question before we wrap up. What's your legacy? What do you want to leave behind?
You know, I hate these things because I don't think about that often. Don't think about that often. I think about that. I want to, leave behind that. And it's funny. I don't think like, oh, I want to leave behind. I was a good business person or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know that my children. I've given my children all the tools that they're ever going to need to succeed.
Yeah.
I want to know that I have worked and gotten legislation passed that will change the lives of Virginians and people across the country.
Carla for president. Seriously.
That's really, I mean, that's really it. I mean, that's, one of the first pieces of legislation that I worked on, was a guardianship issue, and it changed the lives of so many Virginians. I get an email at least once a week about a guardianship issue and what can I do about it, or what can they do about it.
Wow.
The fact that I was able just 2 years ago to get a resolution passed to raise awareness about senior malnutrition
Mm-hmm.
issues, and that now the first weekend of October is Malnutrition Awareness Week.
Mm-hmm.
The things that we can do, that one person can do to change the lives of so many, it's almost criminal if you don't.
Right. And that, it's just so selfless too, right? It's like, and I love what you said. You're like, if I can't get a job, I'm going to go do something to make sure other people can get a job, right? And to me, that is just, being stewards of our society, of our community, of, making that impact in the world, however we can make that impact in the world.
Yeah, the General Assembly starts meeting next week, and so I just read the bill yesterday about employing older Virginians, and I was like,
you did that.
It's like, and it's not. I mean, it's not. It was a lot of people, but it's somebody asking. It's somebody making that relationship and saying, this is important, and this is why to do it. And goodness knows, I'm not shy.
Right.
And especially when it comes to something that I think is important and somebody should know about.
Use your voice. Yeah. Be brave.
Be brave. Be brave.
Be brave.
That's right.
Be
brave.
Brave. Pen, before you wrap it up, do you want to add anything or?
No, I just want to say thank you, Carla.
Yes.
You're such an inspiration, and I mean, seriously, my heart is full right now because just listening to your words, and just thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And Penny, we'll be back next week. We miss you, Pen. And like I said,
I'm going to go join my family, but thank you again, guys.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Love you, Penny.
Bye, Penny.
Bye, Penny.
Bye.